Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review today. I'm here to tell you all about the latest album from Burning Witches, Dance with the Devil, out March 6th on Nuclear Blast. The album has 12 tracks, 53 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio album. If you like heavy riffs, heavy guitars, killer drums, magnificent over-the-top vocals, this album is definitely for you because you're going to get all of that. And you're going to get all of that delivered to you with a very old school style and aroma. And that old school style permeates through every single element on this record. Vocals, structure, sound, lyrics, everything about this record is old school. And as we get into this record, I really feel the best place to start is with the structure. I really like what they've done here, and it really has a lot of different old school elements to it. The first, perhaps, is the magnificent break from tracks as far as the dynamics are concerned. They did an amazing job alternating songs that have a more methodic and a more dynamic approach, not having too many songs following each other that have the same style, the same approach, the same feel to it. This allows the album to be very dynamic, very fluid, and not sound like it's stuck in a rut that every single song sounds very similar or sounds almost exactly the same. To me, that is definitely an old school approach, and that it's an old school look, and it really allows the album to have a lot of ups and downs and really alternate style and sound from track to track. The other aspect of the structure that has that old school aroma to it is having a ballad breaking down the album in the middle and really dividing the album into two parts. Black Magic is that ballad on this record, and it's really the middle track on the album and really divides the album into two. Something that we used to see a lot on heavy metal bands. It was really common in the old days to create albums that had this similar structure. So to me, they did a very good job as far as their overall feel is concerned, as far as the fluidity of the record is concerned, and having that ballad in that middle point really resets the record from the first half to the second half. The other aspect, like I said, is the guitars and the sound. I really like what they did on all fronts. I like the heaviness of the riffs. I like the melody of the riffs. The solos are absolutely incredible, really melodic, really stretched out, really prolonged. And I like what they've done with the solos here, not necessarily always putting them where you would expect them on a track, but once again, going a little bit old school and sometimes even starting a song with a guitar solo, something that we don't see as often anymore, but something that was really common and really popular, and something that I really like because it really creates a lot of dynamic tracks when you start off the song with a guitar solo. So everything surrounding the guitars on this album is really magnificent. They did a great job, really well executed. They sound really clean, they sound really powerful, really driven, and they're definitely one of the driving forces with the drums of every single track. They always know how to alternate between each other. They always know when one needs to be a little bit stronger, have a little bit more volume, or when you need the drums to take the driver's seat and control the song and dictate the tempos. They did a magnificent job really alternating styles and alternating approaches as they created all the different songs on this album. There's not two songs that sound alike, and there's not two songs that have the same dynamics, and a lot of that comes from that specific sound that you get from the guitars on the album, but also the combination and the inner work that it does with the drums. The other aspect, obviously, is the vocals. You cannot talk about Burning Witches and not mention the vocals. This is Laura's first record with the band, first full record with the band. They've released an EP before. And the question was always going to be on everybody's minds is how is she going to pull it off? How is going to be the impact that she's going to have on this record? And was she nervous? I don't know if she was nervous or not. I obviously wasn't there to see, but I can tell you by her performance on this album, it didn't appear that there was any nerves at play because she was absolutely phenomenal. She has an incredible voice, an incredible range, and I think they did something else on this album to really magnetize it, but also to emphasize how strong her vocals is. And in my opinion, that was using a lot of backing vocals and layers to the vocal tracks. What that allows on the record is that you have a vocalist that has a very dynamic approach, has really strong vocals, that can really go really push her voice into a really high note and really extend the songs and create a very cinematic feel to the tracks. But sometimes you need the vocals to come a little bit lower, to come a little bit down, more down to earth, to have a more magnetizing, perhaps a little bit more dark and somber approach. And the way they did that on almost all the tracks that really called for it was by using different layers to the vocals, adding different vocal styles to it in the backdrop, in the background. But what that did was just created volume, it created heaviness, it created a little bit of more of a dark and somber feel to the overall sound on the record. So I really like what they did with the vocals, but Laura was absolutely magnificent. She really drives the songs forward. She has the ability to really open up the doors, let the breeze come in, and then let the sound go out. And that to me is something that she does extremely well. And adding those layers and those backing vocals just really enhanced her own performance and enhanced the quality of her voice, in my opinion. Overall, this is a magnificent record. To me, there's perhaps one little key element that I would have done different, and that's the tracking list. For as much as I like the overall structure of the album and the fluidity that the album has, I feel like the tracking list was not optimal. Honestly, they started the album with an intro track. The following track should have been Wings of Steel, in my opinion. That song hadn't already been released before. It would have given the listeners a little bit of a sense of comfort getting into the record versus going with songs that haven't been released before. And I just feel like that song has such a dynamic approach. It almost feels like a old school power metal, speed metal song. I feel like a song like that opening up the record would really set the bar, and it would really set the tempo and the expectations going forward. They didn't decide to go with that kind of track listing. They decided to go a different order. To me, that is perhaps the only thing that I would have changed, or the only thing that I see in my own personal opinion, having listened to the record several times, as the only negative that I can find on this record, because everything else was really well produced, well executed, and more important, well delivered. Now, as far as songs are concerned, I want to start with 6 Feet Underground. I love the tempo and the riff on this song, absolutely magnetizing. The vocals really blow the ceiling open on this track and really electrifies the track, something that Laura does throughout the record. Using layers of backing vocals really gives heaviness to the song, but more important, it gives heaviness to the overall vocal track. It just makes it a little bit more robust. It gives it more volume. It really helps morph into the song and then create a really nice symbiosis between the music and the vocals. It really creates a track that has a sense of being bigger, have a much larger presence, having a much larger volume. The solo, in my opinion, does a magnificent job because it really merges two aspects that are predominant throughout the track, which is the more methodic approach, the more heavy and methodic approach, with a more melodic and over-the-top and faster tempo. So this is a solo that really merges the two elements that are present throughout the track, brings them both together, and then it just delivers it on a platter. I really like the solo from that aspect and how it combines and how it merges the song together. Next, Black Magic. I mentioned this before. This is the ballad on the album, and what a ballad it is. It really has a little bit of that old school 80s, even late 70s rock sound, really stripped down. It starts off very stripped down, just acoustic and vocals, and I really like that approach. And I like the fact that it eventually builds up to be a little bit heavier, to have a little bit more sound and more presence. But they never completely got rid of the acoustic guitars. They still peek their head here and there. You can still hear the sound coming in at glimpses throughout the track. And to me, that's really important because it allows the song to have some heavier moments, but still feel like a ballad, still feel very stripped down. A song that, in my opinion, if they had gone fully acoustic and just vocals, would have still worked extremely well. They still used some vocal layers because there's some portions of this song that gets a little bit darker, that's a little bit more emotional. And in order for you to get a little bit more volume out of the vocals, using layers and backing vocals really does a wonderful job. You really feel like the whole band is coming together on this song and really delivering a magnificent ballad, really an outstanding track. Last but not least, Necronomicon. I have a really hard time with this song. Every time I hear it, I think of Necrogoblikon. But Necronomicon, my favorite track on the album. Hands down, my favorite track on the album. Not as fast, not as with a faster tempo-driven song as 6 Feet Underground, for example. This one is a lot more methodic, but it's a lot heavier at the same time. Has killer guitar riffs, and the vocals on this song really match that methodic approach, that heavy approach, but still very melodic approach that this song has. An absolute banger of a track. One of, like I said, my favorite song on the album. I just cannot get enough of this song because it has such a chugging sound to it. It's so heavy, so brutal, but still so melodic, and Laura does a magnificent job with the vocals, really bringing some light, some melody, some brightness to a song that otherwise perhaps would be really heavy. And in my opinion, one of the heavier songs on the album for sure, but her voice really counterbalances that heaviness to really give the song a little bit more light, a little bit more melody. Just a magnificent overall track, a song that has a lot of sound, has a lot of power, has a lot of charisma. Great track. Alright guys, this is it. This is Burning Witches, Dance with the Devil, out once again March 6th on Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.